You're hanging out with the crew of Demon 0305, and we are in beautiful Homestead today with Chief Mario Knapp. Thanks so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for coming by.
Yes, sir. There's so much to talk about. You're such a cool person that does a multitude of things, but I have to ask you we have to kick off the interview. I have to ask you from a personal standpoint, what do I have to do to get a little muscle? What do I have to do? Look at this.
Gym 3 times a week.
3 times a week. Okay.
A lot of egg, a lot of chicken.
Chicken?
And fish. That's it.
I see you, and every time, strong.
No, I don't know. Don't ask. Don't ask my kids. They say I'm fat right now.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Kids have a way of doing that, of humbling us.
Humbling, they do all the time.
You have to tell us, sir, where did your Miami story begin?
I was born in Miami. I was born in Jackson Memorial Hospital. I did elementary school at Arbondale Elementary in the city of Miami. Then at some point we moved to New York, and I lived in Washington Heights.
Okay.
For some time.
Oh, wow.
With my mom and my grandmother. I was raised, we had no father figure. It was my mom, my grandmother, and my brother and I. And yeah, we lived in Washington Heights. They did everything they had to do to make ends meet. And then one day we ended up back in Miami, graduated from Coral Gables Senior in 1991. And I knew I wanted to be a cop probably since the early 80s. I was a little kid.
So what were you like in high school? Sports?
No, I was an artist.
Really?
Yeah, I was a graffiti artist.
Oh, really?
When I was a kid.
Very cool.
Yeah, and that's how I got into. I was into art. We discovered graffiti, but I was horrible at the time in New York because everybody was older than me and I really didn't know. Yeah. Now I come down to Miami and I started looking around, and even though I wasn't good at it at the time, I was better than some of the people here.
Yeah, I would imagine that time too in New York. It's like the beginning of hip hop kind of culture, right?
Yeah.
The graffiti, the b-boying, the DJ.
Yeah.
Did that kind of have an influence on you?
Not really, because we sucked at it. But it was, so in Washington Heights, everybody was a b-boy. You know what I mean? We wore the Lee jeans and the Adidas if you can afford them.
Yeah.
But everybody wore that. That was like the norm. And then I come down to Miami and everything is different.
So no sports. At what point did jiu-jitsu come into the frame?
I did karate in New York, and then I did a little karate here in Miami. And I was never really great. I liked it, but I wasn't. It never became part of me. And then I saw the UFC, the very first UFC in 90. I called the Torrance Gracie Academy and I said, I need to find a school here. And they told me about a school. It was the only Gracie certified school down here, a guy named Pedro Valente, which is the Valente brothers. And I started training with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? That's a big change. Well, from graffiti to martial arts.
Yeah, I think, well, I was already caught by then.
Okay.
I was a rookie police officer. But my jiu-jitsu career started like everybody else's. I went over there, thought I was tough because I was a cop, and rolled around and sparred with a few people and had to leave the class early because I felt like throwing up.
That bad?
I was fatigued. I got nauseous. But jiu-jitsu is the absolute best martial art for law enforcement. And I started a jiu-jitsu program in Miami-Dade.
Really?
Yeah, and it's still running today. And because what jiu-jitsu teaches you that no other martial art does is it teaches you composure. And I say this all the time. I rather have if I was building a SWAT team, I'd rather have a team of thinkers than shooters, because I can teach a thinker to shoot, but I can't teach a shooter to think. And what jiu-jitsu does is it gives you composure. And if there's one skill that I wish that I can cram in any police officer's head, is composure, because it gives you better bandwidth to make better decisions.
You said that from the 80s, you knew you wanted to be a police officer.
Yeah.
What sparked that?
I was a little kid. I was about 8 or 9 years old. My brother was 11.
So you're the younger brother?
Yes.
Okay.
My mom, on layaway, was able to buy us bicycles. So I remember the day that we went to see them. The Huffy bike, mine was the blue with the yellow mags. And we go, and like every good Cuban family, we would go to the George Washington Bridge by the Hudson River, and we would picnic every Sunday. And we go there to picnic one day. And my brother and I are on my bike, and he's towing me on the bike. And the next thing you know, some kid that was like 17, 18 years old punches my brother in the face, throws us both off the bike, and takes the bike. So we called the police. NYPD came. There was a guy assigned to the case, Detective Leon.
You still remember?
Yeah. And so I remember that finally one day they find the bike. And he calls me, and back then there was no cell phone. But my mom calls and says, go downstairs, the detective's gonna pick you up. We go down, picks us up. We go to an area in Broadway, gets out of the car, and he says, okay, when we turn this corner, you need to identify the guy who stole your bike. And I said, okay. Well, when we turned the corner, there was like 8 or 9, it was a lot of people. There was a lot of guys there, they were all older. And he's holding my hand, and he continued walking, and he says, let's go. And he continued walking, and he says, which one is it? And there's my bike, and there's the guy. I recognize him like it was yesterday. And he said, okay, stay right here. And he grabbed the guy, and then all the other guys, he clotheslined the guy. And then undercover cops came from everywhere and the whole thing. And I remember thinking, this guy is 12 feet tall. He's bulletproof, and he's invisible to everybody here. Like a hero, and I said to myself, that's what I want to do the rest of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Very impactful story. Where did you end up working your first couple of years?
So I've been everywhere. I worked in Miami-Dade. When I started, I worked in what's today called the Midwest District. I was in Area 2 in what's called Midwest. Back then it was Doral District. Then after that, I went to HUD. So I worked in Northside and Liberty City. I worked the projects. Then after that, I went to SWAT, or SRT, Special Response Team. I did that for 5 years. Then I went to the academy as an instructor. Then I got promoted to sergeant, went to Kendall, worked midnights there. Then I got called to go to narcotics. I was in tactical narcotics team for some time, and then went to the training bureau where I was the subject matter expert for all matters related to use of force. Then I got promoted to lieutenant, went to the Port of Miami, and then I became the commander for a unit called the Robbery Intervention Detail. Then I went back to training, got promoted to captain. As a captain, I was in Northside District, then the Training Bureau, then Kendall, then the Warrants Bureau. Then I became the acting chief of communication for all of Miami-Dade. And then I became the major of Special Patrol Bureau, where I supervised the SWAT team, pockets of Key Biscayne, Fisher Island, and all of Miami-Dade Transit and the 111 building.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you've done?
In Miami-Dade.
You know, we live in a world where sometimes the right thing to different folks can mean different
Perspective
things.
is everything.
Our perspective, subjectivity, and how do you, and we can get into this later on, but how do you kind of navigate that? This is a decision that I need to make for my community, for the city of Homestead. Like, how do you kind of?
Well, remember, when you're running a police department, there's always balances. There's 3 interests, right? There's the interests of the officers. There's the interests of the community, right? And then there's the political interests involved, right? And not all of those always coincide. So you have to make the best decision. And my decision has always been, is it the right thing for public safety? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I believe in having what I refer to as not a scenario-based, but a principle-based police department. It's one of the things that I promised the city manager, I promised the mayor, and I promised every officer here that we were going to make this a principle-based police department, based on the principles of, number 1, is it fair? Number 2, is it respectful? And number 3, if we hold it up to the light, and we had to survive a deposition or explain it to an attorney or explain it to the community on camera, is it going to generate public trust?
Mm.
And that's the litmus test for me.
Let's rewind a little bit. You come back to Miami from New York.
Yeah.
At this point in your life, are you kind of experiencing a little culture shock, instability, like, where am I from, who am I, kind of thing? or were you just kind of going with the flow?
Yeah, no, I think I just kind of went with the flow. I apparently at the time I had a New York accent because I remember them telling me, but that's gone away. But yeah, it was culture shock that we're wearing shorts to school.
Yeah.
In New York, you didn't see that. There was a lot of things, but I was happy to be back because I always identified myself as the Miami kid.
What's your vision out here as the city continues to grow rapidly, and we have Homestead Speedway doing its thing?
Right.
What is your vision for this area of South Florida?
Well, we're going to make, we've used this term several times, but we're going to be the capital of South Florida. And we're going to make Homestead the emergency operations center of South Dade. Obviously, you know that we suffered Andrew many years ago. So we're perfectly placed right now for us to be the emergency operations center of South Dade. We're modernizing the department. We restructured the department.
It's a big vision.
It is.
And I think you're the right man for the job, man.
Thank you.
One thing I loved about this interview too is how proactive you are about things.
Right.
Getting ahead of the game, and I think it also speaks to the type of work that you've done and the preparation that it took to even get here.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, sir, can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you so much for opening your doors to Demon Oak.
No, I appreciate you coming.
Yes, sir. Our pleasure.